So, okay, like right now, for example, the Haitians need to come to America. But some people are all, what about the strain on our resources? And it's like, when I had this garden party for my father's birthday, right? People came that, like, did not RSVP. So I was, like, totally bugging. I had to haul ass to the kitchen, squish in extra place settings, and, like, people were on mismatched chairs and all. But by the end of the day, it was like, the more, the merrier. And so, if the government could just get to the kitchen, rearrange some things, we could certainly party with the Haitians.
Wow. You guys talk like grown-ups.
Oh, well, this is a really good school.
Mr. Hall was way harsh. He gave me a C-.
Well, he gave me a C, which drags down my entire average.
Hello? There was a stop sign?
I totally paused. You tried driving in platforms.
Oh, should I write them a note?
Ew, get off of me. As if.
Cher's got attitude about high school boys.
It's a personal choice every woman has got to make for themselves.
Cher's saving herself for Luke Perry.
Cher, you're a virgin? I mean, I'm not prude. I'm just highly selective. I mean, you see how picky I am about my shoes, and they only go on my feet.
Nice stems.
Thanks.
What the hell is that?
A dress.
Says who?
Calvin Klein.
What are you doing? Yo, you get on the freeway! Get on the freeway!
You go, girl.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Hello. Hi. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all of our listeners out there, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back.
Everybody, my name's Pete.
And I'm Scott. And these are the movies that made us gay.
Yay. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Great to be here. I can't wait to talk about this movie.
Did you love it?
I love this movie.
We just watched it. We never do that. We just watched it, and we're going to get into it. We've got a really great movie today. I hope you caught it from that trailer. We've also got a really wonderful guest. Scott, why don't you introduce our movie again?
We brought our friend Brad Liberti. Liberty, or how do you correctly pronounce your name?
Whatever you like. Liberti is how we...
Liberti, okay.
Liberty's a good word, so I'm happy there.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Brad, regardless of however the hell you pronounce your last name.
Newly back in L.A.
Yes.
Good to have you back. You've been gone for a few years. You're out in New York because that's where you're from. Mm-hmm. Welcome back to Los Angeles.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
And a perfect movie to discuss about LA. A movie
indeed.
that's very integral of me wanting to move to Los Angeles. We watched Amy Heckerling's Clueless from 1995.
Yay. I love Clueless.
So you wanted to do Clueless. And of course, Clueless was always on the short list of movies for us to do. And you are the perfect guest for it.
Happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. So do we all remember when we first watched this wonderful movie?
Oh, my God.
Because I'm sure that this played a very vital role in our lives at one particular time.
To my young gay self.
So I'll go first. This movie came out when I was 9 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
And, I mean, this movie was everywhere. Like, all over MTV. Just like, there was no escaping the summer that this movie came out. This movie was released July 19th, 1995. And I remember going with my sister. She was in junior high at the time, and I pretty much just tagged along when they went to the movie, and I had to sit separately in the audience. So my sister was with all of her junior high friends, and I just really...
She's like, get away from us, Scott. Go sit the back.
Yeah,
you gotta sit by yourself.
And I just really fucking wanted to watch this movie.
I mean,
like
who can blame you?
A 9-year-old gay child that just was enthralled as he saw Alicia Silverstone on the screen. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. And then
every minute of it.
I mean, it was on rotation. This was like a video store staple. I don't think I ever owned this movie because it was always there. Like either you went over to a friend's house that had it taped off cable, or you just rented it from the video store in the back catalog. So it was just always there.
And it just has a very fruitful life on basic cable.
Definitely, yeah.
Even to this day, I think it's just on TBS quite a bit. Brad, do you remember when you first saw this movie?
I absolutely do. I am a few years older than Scott. And I think I was in 8th grade, so I would have been, 13 or 14?
Yeah.
I did not see it in the theater. I was at that age where the opinions of everyone around me mattered so deeply, and I was worried that it would be too girly to go see in the theater. So, of course, literally the day it came out on video, I think in like February 96 or like March 96, I ran to Blockbuster and rented it. And I think I watched it 5 times that weekend alone, just instantly. From like the first opening scene, just kind of was enthralled, just like Scott. And, I remembered Alicia from the Aerosmith videos. And that was
Who could forget?
Yeah, absolutely.
She was cast in this movie from the Aerosmith videos by Amy Heckerling, too.
Mm-hmm. And so she just kind of was always I thought she was just so badass in those videos. And, I was just, when I heard she was starring in a movie, I was just like, I have to see it.
Yeah.
I didn't regret it.
Pete?
I mean, I was in high school, and I remember a girl that I was friends with. This girl, her name was Angie, and Angie was goth, and Angie loved it. And I was like, "You liked that movie?" And she was like, "Yeah." And this was her review. She's like, "You think she's going to be like mean and stuck up and snobby because they're like rich and they're the popular girls." She goes, "But she's just so nice. All she wants to do is help everybody that's around her." And I was like, "Okay." So then I saw it in the theater. I don't remember who I saw it with, but I saw it in the theater. Just loved it, right? And then when it did get released on video, I don't remember if I bought it or if I rented it, but the first time I had it in my hand on VHS, I know what happened. It was on cable, and we had cable, and I set a timer to record it because I was out with friends or at school or whatever. It was on cable and recorded it, and then went home, got the tape, went to my room because I had a VCR in my room at the time, watched it twice in a row. No joke, it ended, rewound it and watched it again.
I'm sure that I have watched this movie twice in a row as well.
I fully was and it was late at night. It was okay, I got to go to school in the morning, but I'm back. I don't know what I was doing.
It's a short movie. It's only 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it ended, and I was like, okay, it's 10:30 or 11. I was like, I could probably watch it one more time before I go to bed. And I fully rewound it, watched it again, and I'm not sorry that I did that.
I mean, there's just such a rewatchability about this movie that it just goes down so easy, and the screenplay, it just works.
Yep.
And it takes its material that it was adapted from Emma by Jane Austen, and just puts this cool new spin on it. And it's just fucking rad.
Okay, now I was not super aware of the Emma connection for a few years.
Sure.
And then when I did hear about it, I was just kind of well, was it was it that close of an adaptation, or did she just kind of take the basic idea of it? But when you look on Wikipedia and stuff, I feel like people have really gone in it, and I feel like we were even talking during.
Or you could just watch the Gwyneth Paltrow movie, Pete, because it hits all the beats.
Which came out in 95 as well.
I know, so it was kind of.
I have not seen the Gwyneth Paltrow version. When I need a nap, I'll put it in. See, now that does not interest me whatsoever. I feel like
Gwyneth Paltrow and Ewan McGregor.
I mean, I'm all about Ewan McGregor. He's my ride or die bae of all time. But
and Ewan McGregor is the Paul Rudd character. Or no?
Oh, I can't remember. I just remember that it's the epitome. It's was the start of the Gwynethness of Gwyneth.
I think he's the Jeremy Sisto character.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to dust this one out, too. Double feature with the new one. But yes, it's that, I would say, that and Sliding Doors, not to digress.
Sure.
Sliding Doors. At her Gwynethist. At her Gwyneth.
At her,
yes.
At her peak waspiness.
I loved them both at the time, but I certainly have not seen Emma as often as Clueless. I'll say that.
It says Ewan McGregor played Frank Churchill, which is the Christian character.
Oh.
Initially appealing love interest of Cher. Let's see. Churchill is not available to Emma because he's already engaged. In the film, Christian is not available to Cher because he is a homo gay.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Is that how they referred to gays back then? Already engaged?
That's in the Wikipedia. Homo gay. Yeah. Yeah, a previous engagement. So to me at the time, the whole like Emma thing, and my sister was very into, Jane Austen, Bronte sisters, all of that. And to me, I was just like, no. This, on the other hand, it pulled me in. I don't know. It had cute boys. It had Paul Rudd that I was just... I remember Paul Rudd from a little show called Sisters that I've talked about on this podcast. Sisters was a drama series on ABC that ran on like Sunday nights or something. It might have been Friday night. It was a weekend show. And he played the husband of Ashley Judd. And this was the 90s. So they were like 18-year-olds that eloped. Right. Oh. And he was Ashley Judd's husband, and he was like a doofus, and he kind of had long hair. And another thing, side note, is that he had long, like shoulder length hair, and it's Paul Rudd. So if you look at those old YouTube videos where he's like DJ Paul Rudd, like DJing bar mitzvahs and stuff, he had this like shoulder length wavy hair, right? And he auditioned with that hair, cut it without telling Amy Heckerling, shows up to set the first day of shooting. And she's like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Wow,
and was like that. Pissed. And according to Paul Rudd, he says that he thought she was going to fire him like that day because he cut his hair. And she was like, "This is not the look that you auditioned with. This is not the look that we were like going for." But I can't see Josh, with long hair.
Same.
Yeah, I can't either.
Because that like mid 90s, like I kind of associate him with like, remember like Real World in San Francisco? Mm-hmm. Remember Judd? I kind of give Paul, like Josh's character is very like a Judd, like super liberal, cute guy, kind of a little square. He listens to good music, but he just wears like kind of squarish clothes, but has cool elements about him. And so to me, I always thought Paul Rudd's hair length, while a surprise, and I even remember at the time going, "That's the guy from Sisters. Oh, he cut his hair, and he looks kind of dorky now, but still cute because it's fucking Paul Rudd. Like,
and you can see his eyes better.
Yes, those baby blues.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they must have been going for that like mid '90s kind of academic, like a David Foster Wallace, where they were like academic in the grunge cafe,
Yes.
So when you say that, it makes a little sense, but I mean, it's impossible to picture Josh.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. But I also did think at the time that Paul Rudd just read a little too old.
Agreed.
Paul Rudd was probably 25, 26 when they made this movie, probably.
Is that creepier than him being her stepbrother?
Right? Yeah. What's worse? But I also did I just inferred maybe for myself to justify it that like Mel was never married to his mom for that long.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And they've been separated and divorced for years.
Yeah. So they justify it as like, well, we're barely even step siblings.
Not blood.
Yeah.
So I think we should begin the discussion on Amy Heckerling. So Amy Heckerling, had she done anything before Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Oh, that's a good question.
Question for the IMDb's.
So, Fast Times at Ridgemont High was a huge hit.
Put her on the map, yeah.
Put her on the map. You saw Phoebe Cates's boobies in that movie was sort of cemented in pop culture. It introduced everyone to Sean Penn. And so she was just sort of...
Judge Reinhold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So she was just sort of kind of on the radar in the 80s. She did the Look Who's Talking movies.
It was her first feature.
Yep.
She's only credited with a short.
I'm curious, did she get the... Because I remember at the time that Cameron Crowe went undercover in a high school seemed to be the buzziness. I mean, I don't remember because I'm
right.
young.
Yeah, it was in 1982.
But looking back when you read about it, a lot of the kind of news that comes out first is that he went undercover, blah, blah, blah. So did she get a lot of kind of come up with it the way she certainly did for Clueless? I don't know,
Yeah. Because the other thing, too, is that you would think maybe she would have got like some kind of a wave. The next thing she did was Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton, which I think they thought was going to be a little bit bigger than it ended up being. European Vacation was big.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, Look Who's Talking.
And they had a moment, those Look Who's Talking.
They did. You're right. They were big movies.
And she didn't have a very good experience on European Vacation with Chevy Chase, too.
Well, does anybody have a good experience?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Look Who's Talking at the time was a huge deal. And it made a lot of money.
They made a sequel and got Roseanne for it. I mean, it was a huge...
And Amy Heckerling directed the sequel.
Yep.
So...
And, yeah...
She did not direct Look Who's Talking Now.
Sure. She did not.
The dog one.
That's a fun.
And I think that a big proponent of this movie getting made was its producer, Scott Rudin, sort of was early onto the market of the teen movie in the 90s.
Right.
Because he obviously saw that Fast Times really worked in the 80s, and Paramount was sort of shopping around a movie about young people. And I think that they probably had to really fight to get the script made, even at the time. I mean, it's hard to compare it to anything else, because I don't think anything like this had really happened in the 90s, especially for like a big studio movie.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of the big studio kind of comedies in the early 90s, a lot of them, especially high school ones, were like 50s TV shows that were made into like the Brady Bunch and Beverly Hillbillies and blah, blah, blah. I can't think of a huge, I mean, after the John Hughes kind of 80s, late 80s like explosion, the 90s were kind of quiet, the early 90s. Unless, like, we're forgetting, I can't think of a big blockbuster teen movie in 91 or 92.
Yeah, we'll have to think about that.
I mean, I think that a movie like Reality Bites made pretty decent money for Universal. So
not high school, though.
But not high school.
Right.
That was college, because there was always the college movie like Reality Bites or Singles or Threesome. Shout out to our Threesome episode. But not anything really directed to teenagers.
Right.
And I don't know a lot about the background of this movie, of the script. You were mentioning before we were recording that you think that like Amy Heckerling probably had somebody to like help her beef up this script a little bit.
I mean, in fairness, I think everybody does. I don't think there's one movie, you know, and I don't want to take anything away from her accomplishments, but just this movie exists at a level that I've not...
It's super polished.
It's just... It's a perfect movie, and kind of to quickly go back to what you guys were talking about, it lends itself to you finish it and want to watch it again, because certainly for teens, even as an adult, it creates a world you want to be in.
Yes.
And you can't think of... I mean, there's a lot of movies that do it, but I don't know that many that do it in this way.
Yeah.
And there's just layered jokes in this movie that you don't really get the first few times that you watch it, and then when you get older, you sort of catch on to them, too.
The movie definitely is heightened in its style, its fashion, its language.
It lives in its own little universe.
Yeah, and we were watching a little bit of some of the supplemental features on the DVD, and I don't know if it was Amy Heckerling or my friend Twink Kaplan, Amy Heckerling's like good luck charm that's in all of her movies. Absolutely. One of them mentioned that Alicia Silverstone has the quality that she's just super likable, and that she's super likable for girls. That girls are very much like want to know her and want to like be friends with her and all of that. And that was what this movie had, in that like teenage girls at the time fucking worshipped this movie.
Like, changed the way they spoke, the way they looked, the way they everything.
I mean, a lot of the friends that I had that were girls at the time, you know, maybe were a little like I said, my friend Angie was goth, and she was like, I fucking loved it. You know, other friends that I had at the time were very much like, you know, it was aspirational, but not in a sense that like, well, we're poor and they're rich and we want to be like that. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, you know, it's not aspirational in a way that like Kylie Jenner is, you know. It's so much more sweet. Absolutely. Like it's very much like this America's Sweetheart kind of idea, and the way that she plays Cher is, there's like naivete and innocence, but there's also, she knows what the hell she's doing. She's playing the shit out of this character.
And Cher has a really great character arc in this movie too.
Yes, she does.
Like you see the character grow.
Yeah, totally. But Cher just exists in this world that, you know, this house is insane. You know, she's got a car, she's got the clothes, you know, she's got the friends. There's a scene, and one of my friends when I was young pointed it out, and I didn't realize it. And even after the multiple viewings, Cher's talking to her father, and I think it's a scene where they're going over her grades, and she brings in a tray with tea. And I know it's tea because as she pours him a cup of tea into a mug, she walks to a window, plucks a lemon off a tree out the window, and brings it back to the tray and cuts it up and squirts the lemon juice into his tea. Like, that's just this like Mary Poppins cartoon kind of like
only in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, like this like ideal like you know, idyllic life that she lives, you know.
Yeah, I don't think we had seen a teen, certainly a lead protagonist like her before. I mean, you'd often see the wealthy rich girl in a John Hughes or in a movie, but that was emotionally cut off or just the wrong girl for the guy. He needed to, you know, find Ione Skye or the right sweetheart, Molly Ringwald, Ali Sheedy.
It's like the Leah Thompson character in
they're either a bitch or the poor little rich girl.
Some kind of wonderful.
Exactly. They're the Heathers, or they're like a Phoebe Cates, where you don't really get. It's more kind of the male gaze type of character.
Yeah.
And with her, it was, as you said, like a real empowered, aspirational female that you know were a little jealous of, but the warmth, I think, of the character, of the writing.
Yeah.
But I think, again, like enough credit can't be given to Alicia because it could have played so differently, you know?
And when you look at kind of who was considered for the role, I was reading Reese Witherspoon, I guess, was like pretty close to getting it.
It would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that a lot of Alicia's personality is just sort of peppered into this character, that they catered the role to her.
Totally. And Reese had her Tracy flick. Like, I just can't see this. Like, I don't know. There's just a warmth with Alicia and a kind of unassuming quality that just not many actresses have, you know?
And I mean, I even remember when Legally Blonde did come out, how many years later?
2001.
2001.
So a good 6 years. And I mean, I remember at the time people were just saying that like she's just kind of doing a Cher impression.
I couldn't enjoy that movie at first. I enjoy it now, but at the time I was just
probably a role that was written maybe with Alicia Silverstone in mind when they were conceiving it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then just at that time she was not on the radar.
Yeah.
Well, and let's not joke. Reese made her teen masterpiece Fear.
I was going to 96 Fear. Yep.
Oh man,
that movie. Oh my goodness.
I love Fear. I think I made you watch Fear a few years ago and you'd never seen it.
I had never seen it all the way through.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty insane.
I dare ask, does it hold up at least in a fun kind of what am I watching? The roller coaster scene?
I think so.
The roller coaster scene is amazing. Wow.
This crazy exploitation movie for teenagers.
I mean, seriously.
We did watch it all the way through.
It's almost like a 90s training video of like what to do when you fall in love with the bad guy.
Oh my goodness. But you know, because of this movie, it kicked off the kind of teen craze. So even
like the teen gold rush of the late 90s.
90s. You know, I'm trying to think, and I think it goes Heathers in 89 and then this in 95.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like iconic teen movies.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And even American Pie didn't come out for another 5 years.
That was 99. Yeah. That was when I was a senior.
And American Pie was a throwback to like Porky's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I really feel like if you want to get into it and say like the early 2000s, like the teen movie craze, like American Pie kind of kicked that off. Mm-hmm. Right. And so this movie kind of stands alone in the 90s as like...
Yeah. I mean, you know? I think from this you can see you have The Craft in 96.
Sure,
you have Fear. You have studios taking a chance on mid-range
movies for young people.
You know, Can't Hardly Wait in 98. But I agree. I think that, you know, 2000 and 2001, you know, really it goes into... And then you get the music matching it. You know, and one would argue that a Cher sets the stage for a pop star like Britney Spears. That's very much... sweet,
so much,
but you know, you kind of want to be her. You think that she's, you know, aspirational in a way. In other ways, you know, we're talking in 99 now, but you know, the kind of girl that has everything, quote unquote, but yet is still sweet. You know?
I mean, we have to talk about the music in this movie too.
This soundtrack is. I feel like the soundtrack is still on repeat. I'll just be driving to work and put on the Clueless soundtrack.
Well, first of all, the soundtrack slaps, but second of all, like, who the hell curated these songs?
Sure. All the songs that aren't even on the soundtrack.
Well, Just a Girl is in this movie. When this movie was released in July?
Yeah, July 95.
Tragic Kingdom was released in October.
Sure. They were onto that shit before.
They got the jump on No Doubt.
Yep.
And No Doubt was not a household name before Just a Girl.
It's like a local SoCal band.
Yeah.
Same with Mighty Boss Stones.
Yeah.
Who didn't have the longevity load down it, but they had a few, mighty years.
Yes. I mean, that was right before that whole, kind of weird swing craze in like the late 90s.
Swing,
Remember that whole deal,
Absolutely.
And the Mighty Bosstones were at the forefront of that.
Like the Doug Lineman Swingers.
Yeah.
Is it
Angeles,
too dramatic to say that this movie kicked us out of grunge?
I mean,
it's
sure.
probably too dramatic, but it certainly was an arbiter on the way.
Sure.
It kind of comments on grunge a little bit.
And how it's over, and it's into the kind of mass market.
Sure.
Let's buy wealth. Let's high end visibility of these designers that certainly teens didn't know.
Oh yeah, Although there were 2 Radiohead songs in this soundtrack, and the Bends was released in March, so that had been out.
Yes,
but there were 2 songs from the Bends, and I always felt like the way the songs are used, some of them even work, and especially the Radiohead songs, kind of almost work like score.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like when Ty and Travis meet in the cafeteria in line, that opening of I can't remember the name of the song, but it feels like the score of the movie as opposed to like a pop song, and then it like breaks into the vocal. But it's edited so well into the movie. Yeah, just like I wonder how much Amy Heckerling had a hand in that. I mean, she seems like a hip broad.
She knows what the kids are listening to.
I'm curious who the music supervisor was. I mean,
I mean, she had all the best, like the coolest people, I think, because like you were saying with the costume design as well, like
costumes by Mona May. Yeah. Shout out to our roomie Michelle and Never Been Kissed episode. Yes. She did the costumes for this movie.
I'm so sorry. Something just popped in my head. It wasn't the iconic hit that it should be, but it has. There was "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead."
Oh yes,
that was a flop, and that was
indeed.
Think that was kind of
put on heavy rotation on HBO. Shout out to our "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead" episode.
Yeah, that found its legs really in the home media.
Oh my goodness!
And people love that. I mean, that movie is like iconic.
It's another movie that just makes me happy, no matter when it's on, where I start it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can just watch any spot of that.
I digress. Back to Clueless, which I love just as much.
No, that's okay. We can talk about Don't Tell Mom. Yeah, she had really good people working with her as far as kind of like fleshing out this world, I think a lot of you guys are talking about the script. A lot of the teen speak was kind of made up for this movie.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about Barneys and Bettys.
Or as if. As if.
Jeepin'.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it was made up and never got legs, but like as if is like...
I'm bugging.
Yeah. Like that shit kind of fell into
whatever.
Vernacular.
I don't know if whatever was ever used.
I think it was used, but her making the W with her fingers, that was the first time I'd ever seen it.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, I guess there was always this Valley Girl slang of the 80s, and it's just sort of brought to the 90s.
Yeah.
A Monet. I mean, they had to come up with that.
We'll post a clip of Jenny McCarthy doing a game of this with trivia at the MTV Beach House. With Henry Thomas and
Yasmin Bleeth.
Yep.
Wow.
We'll post a clip of it.
You just transported me to 1996.
Okay, so that brings up the marketing for this movie was intense.
All over MTV.
They were so hand in hand with MTV, and
the cast would do like little.
Is that just because?
Sketches.
Is that just because? Like, what? It was a Paramount?
I think
like,
back then, if
Viacom.
you had a movie under the age of 25,
Yeah.
like, MTV was your way to promote it.
Sure.
I mean, that was everything.
Because MTV, not only would they had the Beach House day where the cast was there. Probably in like Daytona Beach or whatever, and they had the whole Beach House day. That was one thing.
I think they did it in Malibu.
Okay.
I think they did it at Zuma.
But separate from that, MTV also had promo spots that were like little, almost like deleted scenes from
Little
the movie.
sketches.
Little sketches.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember these? They were so good. And
There's one in the cafe, and Julie Brown plays the waitress.
yeah.
That's funny.
And Cher and Dion get weirded out because they find out that sardines are in their Caesar salad.
And they want a Caesar salad with hold the dressing.
Yeah.
So they just want lettuce.
I think it helped too that MTV felt a little bit of ownership's not
Yes.
the word, but for Alicia because they
Oh,
felt
yeah,
that they had
yeah,
broken
yeah.
her
She came from
through
music
the movies,
videos,
music
yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
You know, she had done The Babysitter, right? That was the Crush.
The
not
Crush, yeah, The
Babysitter.
Crush.
But
I want to say that The Babysitter was released probably the same year this movie came out.
Yep. I think so as well.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I think there was a real MTV felt they had a stake in it, and I can
you're right.
attest
That
to
makes
my
sense.
own life back then. I would literally put MTV on,
Oh, definitely.
and not change the channel. I mean, all
My
day.
dream job when I was like 11 years old would be the
TRL.
host of Singled Out.
Absolutely. And you would just watch it through. Even if you didn't like the show, you
Yeah.
just leave it on till the next thing. I mean, there was and you're not surfing
No.
on social media. You're just literally watching MTV
Yes.
and watching these promos and watching. You know?
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I remember at the time my cable packet, my parents, the package of cable that we had included Much Music.
Love me.
Oh
Much Music. That's
man,
great.
that was amazing. And Much Music had like their rival TRL. They had
Already?
they had their own version of like in studio all afternoon, studio audience kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time like Britney Spears and all of them being on.
I
it,
loved
but, yeah,
Much
it's just-
too because you could see like Euro like pop star like what's it like Billy Lord or not
Yeah.
Billy Lord but you know what I'm talking about. She was a pop star that ended up doing like the House Call Diaries on Showtime.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? Billy something like all those British S Club 7. You can see all those videos on Much Music.
Well, you know what I saw on Much Music first, and I was just like, sorry, Canada. You guys need to just slow your roll, Canada. Slow down. They had Spice Girls first and Backstreet Boys.
Wow.
And they had in studios with both of them. And I was just like,
I don't know if these guys are going to
I
catch
don't
on.
think this is going to fly. These guys don't have legs over here. You guys, you stick to Canada, you guys. And then what the fuck did I know? Yeah, blew my mind. But this movie was very like hand in hand with MTV, and the cross promotion was. I mean, it was brilliant. It got us all to like because everybody I knew that was my age. Same thing. You just went home and turned on MTV and just watched. All day.
And it was probably one of the things that this came out in July. Kids went back to school in August, and everyone was talking about this movie.
Absolutely.
So even just
Yeah,
the
it was a big
release
summer.
date was like timed perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, again, I'll never. There hasn't been an iconic teen movie that came out when I was 14 other than this movie, but I can't emphasize enough how it changed the way people spoke. It changed
Definitely,
the way
yeah.
people dressed. It changed the way the girls in my grade acted. Like it really did. It was so influential.
Yeah.
You couldn't escape it.
And in 1995, had a full-on gay character.
And he's called out being gay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal.
It's an interesting character. It's not coded, which is great. Like you said, he's called out.
He's
They
a
say
little
he's
he's a
gay.
little plot devicey, but that's okay because
Yeah.
it's not his movie.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
We don't get to see anything. It's just only talked about and referred to. He never even says it.
They put an interesting spin on him because the idea is that Cher's not attracted to the type of boys in 1995 that would be going to her school. The contemporary one, she was attracted to like the Rat Pack, late 50s, early 60s.
A sophisticated man.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, she mentions at one point in the movie through her iconic voiceover in the all the young dudes scene that she just doesn't get boys, you know, and that was definitely a look, you know, big baggy pants, and, you know, skateboarding was just kind of becoming a big thing around that time, and the baggy clothes was everywhere, and it looked kind of gross. So somebody who is Cher who's going to be good enough for her, right? So we get Christian. I was definitely fascinated by him. I wasn't super duper attracted to Christian. Like I said, I was like, I mean, Paul Rudd was in it, so I wasn't really looking at anybody else.
Same.
But he was there, and it was like, wow, representation. That's kind of great, you know.
And not really a victim, not getting bullied, you know, kind of in charge of his own agency.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's also interesting that he's not directly out, but he seems like someone that's very comfortable in his skin. Even though probably if you were to call out this character, you're gay, I don't know if the character would really know like what to say to that, but he's just comfortable as himself, which is very relatable.
Right. Well, because that's the thing. Once Cher finds out that he's gay from Murray, she's just like, oh, okay, he's gay. That's the kind of friendship we're going to have. And then they have like this great friendship after that. But you're right. It's not really addressed between the two of them, at least on screen.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine that they had a little bit of a talk, you know, afterwards.
Sure.
Because I think Cher's like has enough presence of mind to go and say like, hey, like I thought this was going to be one thing.
Yep.
I mean, we had our
Beverly
weird
Hills
date
as well.
Yeah.
These teens would have been
They know what's
exposed to
going on.
out gay men in a way that perhaps, you know, students in like Michigan or
for sure.
Jersey, where I'm from, I don't know, would have been the same.
Yeah. Cher and Dion are getting their hair done. And like in high-end salons. Who's the guy that has billboards all over LA?
Chaz Dean. Or their parents are having party planners over, or actors and actors. I mean, it's a
Chaz Dean. That's such a specifically LA.
That's
a specific LA post. He's like our gay Angeline.
He's our new Angeline.
You know, he's coming to New York though. He's opening a store or something. I remember saying that to Ted. I was like, I can't believe Chaz Dean has infiltrated. In-N-Out can't make it here, and Chaz Dean.
Right.
Chaz Dean, come on the show if you're listening.
He's our new Jose Ebert. Remember? Remember Jose Ebert?
I want what's his name from Blowout. I want Jonathan Anton.
I know. I mean,
where's he?
Can you imagine? So you're absolutely right. These girls knew from party planners and all of that. But yeah, what did we have in '95? We had like Martin Short and
we had Pedro from
we had Pedro from the Real World. Thank you. Yeah, you're right.
That was it. That's all. Like MTV was again.
Yeah, so I feel like teens were getting kind of woke when it came to that, and MTV has a big thanks in that. You're absolutely right, but I mean we can't forget Martin Short and B.D. Wong in the Father of the Bride series.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That was our big. Those are our big aspirational gay characters.
Even this, I remember. Like, it's funny the things that you imprint, because I was as far in the closet as I could be at that age. I don't even know what I thought, but I remember thinking like, okay, it's the guys that are going to call you gay. The girls don't notice it, so you have to be really careful around this. And I had a few, straight guys call me gay, and the girls defend me. And I remember this being kind of flickering off a little panic inside of like, oh no, it is the guys who know. It's not not even thinking internally, but thinking of it only from external. Like if they know, think it, and it wasn't even questioning my own.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just.
I didn't even think about that though. That Murray just knew. Yep. Yeah.
I found that something was just like jumped off the screen to me at the time.
Huh. Yeah. I don't know how I took that as a kid. I don't know if maybe I just thought Murray knew because the guys talked about it, and I don't know. They knew him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a new spin on that. But yeah, I mean, I did kind of think too, though, like, okay, after we find out and Cher and him are cool with each other, now he's just like her shopping buddy.
I know.
I mean, wouldn't you want to be Cher's shopping buddy, though?
I would not mind being Cher's
I would love to.
Buddy. Yeah. I mean, I would have preferred to have been Amber's shopping buddy, because Amber's got a little bit more of outgoing fashion sense.
Mona May had the most fun dressing that one.
I mean,
they could put some pretty crazy looks on her.
It was a trend victim a little bit,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Where the other girls' looks are much more timeless. Certainly Dion and Cher's, like, they still work, most of them, you know?
Yeah, and also the costumes for this movie, they've aged really well. Like, I think they still read pretty cool on film.
Absolutely.
For the most part. Would you agree?
Yellow plaid. I mean, I think their look,
they're so a part of just, like, the pop culture canon now.
Well, now it's like, every, like...
It's the way, like, a halter top and bell bottoms with like stilettos can make you look 70s, but still sexy. It's the same. It's like a look that is so indelible of good 90s.
Yeah,
Dion's hat's a little crazy. I even think in the 90s that would have been a little
good point.
Hashtag team too much.
At least I didn't skin a collie to get my purse.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Amber's looks are fully realized.
Yeah.
But you're right. She's a little bit more fashion victim. And I do have to say that Cher did look better in that dress, even though it was from Judy's. Did you guys catch that Judy's? You didn't, Scott, you didn't know what Judy's was.
No, I didn't know what
Judy's was. I still don't.
Okay. And Judy's was a mall store here. So it was probably a regional thing. And it was along the line. I think it was like cheaper than Contempo.
Got it.
Was the deal. But it was just like a girl's like dress store. You know,
Mandy.
Was it sort of like Wet Seal?
Yeah, it was just along those lines. Yeah,
got it.
But it was in the malls, and Judy's had, and I remember Judy's had their logo was like a girl, but it was like a sketch. And it was very like Eliza with a Z, like a hand, like single line drawing of like this girl. I always remember like the Judy's logo, and it was just like a decal on the glass in the mall. Because I spent a lot of my youth in malls. My mother loves to shop. Our family has been on the gift card bandwagon like for years. I know it's like a little bit of a newer thing, and some old school people are just like, I don't like giving out gift cards. Like, we could give my mother a gift card in the 80s because the gift was shopping.
Yeah,
you're giving her the gift of shopping.
What were your favorite Los Angeles malls to go to with Melinda?
Okay, so we love the Glendale Galleria because it was so huge.
One-stop shop. You got it all.
Like, it just kept going, and it's like you're upstairs, and there's another escalator, and you're going up again. Like, fuck. It had a Warner Brothers studio store in the 90s, and it was gigantic. Had a huge Disney store. And back in the day, in the 80s, the Glendale Galleria had a pet store.
Ooh.
Yeah, awesome. And it had, which is not awesome now because they were probably all like puppy mill dogs. And it had a KCET store of knowledge. Anybody remember that? KCET store of knowledge? Yeah, it was weird. What is that? It was a store that just had like, puzzles.
Was it like a smart kids toy store?
It was kind of like Smart Toys, yeah. And then they sold like videotapes of like KCET, like PBS. Oh, KCET is like the PBS station. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
When you say that,
rewind.
Yes,
rewind.
KCET,
KCET is the PBS station
Got it.
in LA. So essentially, it's a PBS store.
Who knew? How highbrow for Glendale.
Oh, goodness.
Love it.
Yes. And it had right next to the Natural Wonders, which had like gems and stuff. Right next door to Natural Wonders was their Suncoast, and their Suncoast was huge. Yeah, so Glendale Galleria was my jam, and loved it. It's still cool now.
I'm already like flashing back to when Clueless came out on VHS, probably seeing the little like coming soon. In December, the VHS of Clueless on like their board behind the counter
at Suncoast,
where they would put the release dates for movies.
Can I tell you what kind of weirdo gay I am? I probably bought the Clueless VHS at the same time as I bought Star Trek First Contact. Like, what the fuck? What is that? But that was like my life. I was like, fucking First Contact is like the best Star Trek movie of all time, and I watched it over and over and over again, and then I just watched Clueless. Like,
That's funny.
I don't get how they go hand in hand at all.
Polar opposite movies.
I can beat you. I rented Clueless and Clerks.
Hey,
I rented the two of them together. Kevin Smith's another conversation.
Yes.
Another time.
We did
Clueless.
We did Chasing Amy. There was a lot to unpack with that movie.
Yeah.
I actually think Dogma's his most watchable, actual decent movie. Everything else is... But, that was my two. I rented the two of them. Clerks I only watched once, though.
That's all you need. You're good.
That's all I needed.
We should mention that the mall in Clueless, it is the West Side Pavilion,
It's the West Side Pavilion, yes. Yep. Which is a nice mall, but I am East Side people, through and through. I'm East Side people. So Westwood Pavilion was a trek for us.
Where is that?
It's on...
it's where the Landmark is. Have you ever been to the Landmark?
I think so.
You know where the Apple Pan is?
Yes.
So across the street from the Apple Pan.
I do know the Apple Pan. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Clueless.
Hey, the West Side Pavilion is a big part of this movie.
That's malls. Yeah, that's funny.
We could have a whole mall podcast. We'll have an offshoot mall podcast.
It's funny because this show or this movie, it's like I feel like prior to this, it was like kids. You just shopped at the mall. You went to the Gap.
Yes.
You did, and this started this which we're still in worse than ever now, where kids have Fendi bags, and I never knew any. I feel like prior to this, and certainly Sex and the City, it was wealthy, socialite women knew these high-end labels. And the rest of us were like, I like the Gap. And
totally.
Literally, it's 96, and it's is that an Alaya?
Yeah,
certainly worse for girls, but as a young gay, I was, I wanted to keep abreast of what the trends were.
And I think, a big thing about this movie, too, is that, half the girls in the school have, nose jobs, they all have their nose bandages and things, and just this comment on young kids getting plastic surgery. And I feel like in this movie that's almost it was almost like an absurd joke. It was almost like a Mel Brooks kind of a little airplane kind of humor thrown in there. But now it's there's probably fucking kids out there getting nose jobs and shit more than we think,
I believe it.
Although now if they made this movie now, all the girls would be it would be just lips. They would just have pumped lips. Yeah. I feel that's your intro.
They did. There is talk of a remake right now with Paramount.
I really hope that,
and I hope that does not really go any further. They got some of the Glow showrunners to develop it.
Okay.
But that said, that was 2 years ago, so it may have just fizzled
out. And they did a jukebox Broadway musical that didn't make it to Broadway. Just not into it. I don't even want a Mean Girls. Put it away.
Yeah.
Keep it. I don't want I'll
say this: the sitcom's charming.
Sorry, Rachel Blanchard. I'm happy for her.
Cher Horowitz.
We did a rewatch of some of the episodes of the TV show, and I have to say, it was funnier than I remember it being.
Okay, so let's just say right off the bat, it's Diet Clueless.
Yeah,
just right off the bat, it's Diet Clueless.
It is the store-bought version of Coke.
It's the 99-cent store. It's Aldi Clueless, right? So they had to dumb down some things. Their fashion is a lot less heightened because now it's a sitcom, and now they want girls watching it to be kind of able to dress like these girls. So their fashion is a little bit more pedestrian. Christian's gone. There's no gay character at all. Ty's there, but they cut her out, maybe because the stoner vibe is too weird. But Amber's there, and she's great.
Amber's one of the pop
now. She's core clique now, which is kind of great.
I feel like that actress and Stacey Dash had no business playing 17 years old on TV.
They were 25 and 27 respectively. Stacey Dash being 27 when she made this movie. But the biggest sin I think of the sitcom is Rachel Blanchard, and she's serviceable in the role. But the thing is, it's
so much of the role is Alicia.
So much.
You just don't replace an iconic.
Yeah,
you just can't.
Yeah.
I agree, and I'm a little bitter to that show because I'll never forget that it premiered the year of my freshman year of high school, and I went to a Catholic middle school, so I went to Catholic high school, so I didn't know anybody. You know, all my friends didn't go to my high school.
Oh yeah,
and everyone started to have their new friends. So it was on Friday nights, and I remember I was home on Friday.
TGIF,
I had nowhere to go.
TGIF lineup
with Sabrina, and I was just all my other friends had met new friends at their new schools, and we're out, and it was either go to the dance or sit home and watch Clueless. And I remember just being like, I'm never going to have friends, and I'm never going to be Cher.
No.
Never. She's so popular.
Oh, my God.
But, eventually, I didn't get that pop, but I found friends. Found something to do on a Friday night.
Oh, my God. Funny. That's amazing.
Paul Rudd did a little stint on Clueless.
He did one episode.
One episode?
Yes, he did
one
it
episode. As a
he
favor.
Did not play Josh.
And I want to say Amy Heckerling directed that episode.
Sure. That makes sense. I think
she's done a lot. She's done a handful of TV shows.
Yes,
she directed some episodes of Gossip Girl, and I'm sure that Riverdale probably had her direct somewhere.
Yes, yeah. I'd love to think she directed a Sex in the City. I know Nicole Holofcener did a bunch of them.
Oh.
I wonder if, I mean, she's been in Hollywood forever.
It's kind of it's unfortunate because it's that female director standard of that when you make a huge hit movie and your next movie doesn't quite do as well, you're just sort of put in director jail. The same thing happened to like Karen Kusama, and she's just now finally getting out of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it just kind of sucks. And she did that movie with Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer. I Could Never Be Your Man.
I Could Never
She
Be Your
did
Woman.
that. The first after her follow up to this, I think was in 2000. She did that Loser with Jason.
Oh
Biggs
yeah,
and
that's
Mina
right.
Savari, which
that's Amy Heckerling.
That's Amy
what
Heckerling.
The hell?
And that's
that was the
bad.
let's make like Mina Savari a leading lady push, and it didn't quite catch on.
It didn't quite. Nor Jason Biggs.
Yeah,
but yes, then I Could Never Be Your Woman.
And that movie, I feel, was like it went between movie studios and funding, and it took like years for it to come out.
Absolutely. And I think she just got it just didn't work, and they were not the actors that they were supposed to, or not the actors, but not the stars that people thought they would become. I think that it wasn't a good movie.
A huge movie with Michelle Pfeiffer too.
Oh, that one. Yeah. You're sorry.
I
was back to Loser. I Could Never Be Your Woman. Absolutely. And not a bad movie. I'll say Loser, I don't feel like has any redeeming qualities. There are some interesting things in I Could Never Be Your Woman. It's I don't know how to say this, but there's way too many monologues about her complaining about her stage in life. But it's Michelle Pfeiffer who I could watch read the telephone book, and it introduces Saoirse Ronan as her vocal fry LA daughter, which I was so impressed after seeing Atonement. I had seen Atonement first. I couldn't believe it was the same girl.
Yeah.
Did she make it right before Atonement?
I think she made it before Atonement or after, but I saw Atonement first.
But it was probably one of those things that the movie was released after the Oscar nomination.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't even remember it in the theater.
No,
I just rented it.
I think they sort of botched the release of it.
Yeah.
That I don't really think it was even open major markets.
It's a hot mess of a movie. It really is.
It's unfortunate because I feel like that premise could make to a really good movie, but just there was just obstacles with it.
If you want to see a good one about an older woman and a younger man, Prime, which you've probably seen.
Oh, I've seen Prime.
It's so much better, and it's around that same time.
Uma and Meryl,
and who's so cute. And I wish he was a bigger star, but I can't remember his name.
Oh,
so
he's
cute.
like
he's married to
like
Jamie Chung.
He's like the
Brian Greenberg.
I was gonna say he's like the quintessential cute New York boy that you bring home to mom.
He's so cute. Yeah, Brian Greenberg. He was on How to Make It in America.
Cute. Okay.
I don't know what he does now. He kind of was not Chris enough for the Evans and where all the Chris's, the Pines. But
Hollywood needs to bring Amy Heckerling back. They need
Didn't she get Me Too?
No
Did she?
Way.
I feel like she might.
I didn't know that.
I feel like she might have gotten Me Too.
No way.
I refuse to believe this.
We'll verify.
We need a fact check.
Yeah, so I think there was a weird scandal with her.
Well, I mean, I'm not.
But nobody remembers, so it didn't happen.
The last I had heard of her or from her was Vamps with
right.
Alicia and Kristen. What's her name?
Kristen Ritter,
who I love too.
Yeah.
And they're both. It's again another cute. They're like these quaint old timey vampire women, but that like don't want to kill, especially Alicia.
Aren't they like?
Such a cute
aren't they like socialite vampires?
They're not as much socialite vampires as what I just love about it is it's just we've seen a million vampire movies, but this one focuses on like. Alicia's character misses like the genteel niceness of like the 1800s men, and she just hates the modern guys and how like just no one's courteous and there's no chivalry. Like it's kind of a cute premise, but again, it's a hot mess, and it just
we tried.
We
tried and didn't get through it. Didn't we try watching it once?
We did.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And the special effects are terrible.
Oh, that's good.
Terrible.
Oh well, but I mean, hey.
She has something interesting to say. That's what I feel. She always has something, at least,
Man, we caught a little bit of Fast Times at Ridgemont High on cable a few months ago. The movie is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, it is better than I remember it being.
Mm-hmm. One thing I remember about Fast Times is somebody bought me the DVD for my birthday one year, and I went and watched it, and I watched it with the commentary, and Amy Heckerling and Cameron Crowe do the commentary together, and it's the only and I am a DVD commentary like person. Like I listen to anytime there's a DVD commentary, I'll listen to it, I'll watch the movie just to listen to it, and it's the only time that I had seen a movie with the commentary. The movie ended. Amy Heckerling and Cameron Crowe continued to talk for 25 minutes with a black screen.
And they strike me as two chatterboxes,
and they left it in there. And they were like, should we stop? And then they just kept going. And I was like, this is kind of cool. And they were just gabbing about the movie. They were just talking about it. And it was really interesting. And I loved that. And someone borrowed that DVD from me, and I never got it back.
Well, fuck them.
Yeah, get that back.
I may be seeing that person this weekend. I'll ask him.
Do we want to talk a little bit about Brittany Murphy?
Oh, she's so good.
She's so good in this movie.
Yeah.
And so I mean, Brittany Murphy had been working the rounds in TV sitcoms. Mm-hmm. Yes. She probably did one a year from
Child actor.
91.
Yep.
And this was her first big movie, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she's so good in it.
She's funny. She's charming. She's playing a dumb character, but
the character's so endearing.
Yeah. I have a couple of clips with Brittany Murphy, just to kind of show her, like her a little bit of her range. We'll listen to the first one where they meet Ty. This scene's really cute.
Stoger, got another one. Ladies, we have a new student with us. This is Ty Frazier.
Ty, you don't have time to change, but you could hit a few balls in those clothes.
She could be a farmer in those clothes.
All right, Amber, that's enough.
See, my mission is clear. Would you look at that girl? She is so adorably clueless. We've got to adopt her.
Cher, she is toe up. Our stock would plummet.
Dee, don't you want to use your popularity for a good cause?
No.
Come here. Yeah, come here. Hang with us.
Oh, thank you.
How you like California?
Man, I'm freaking. I could really use some sort of an herbal refreshment.
Oh, well, we do lunch in 10 minutes. We don't have any tea, but we have Coke and stuff.
No shit, you guys got Coke here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is America.
One of the best lines in the whole movie.
So good.
I feel like I sometimes just open up a friend's fridge and be like, "Oh shit, you guys got Coke here?
Coke here?
Coke is a really good school."
Okay, so Dion says that Ty is toe up. Now I've heard two things, two schools of thought in this specific instance of toe up. Now, would you say that she is toe up from the flow up, or is she toe up as in dead on the gurney in the morgue, toe tag
Toe up.
I think that she's dead. I think she's dead.
Yeah. Okay.
Toe tag.
Don't pull out the...
Either work, though.
Yeah.
Because me and my friend Matt used to always say toe up, but like toe up from the flow.
That's funny.
But I think that's a different... That's like tore up.
Tore up.
That's tore up.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is toe tag.
Yeah,
Close
toe
the
tag,
morgue.
yeah,
It's done. Do not resuscitate.
The morgue. She'll be furious.
Oh, Dad, I did not even think of... Oh, my goodness. I'll backtrack from that and say something really... I think from the writing of the Ty character to the performance of the Ty character next to Alicia Silverstone's, it's just an example of the creative shading beyond the lines of what the character could have been.
Yeah.
Not only is she kind of toe up and a little bit clueless, but she also... is loyal and fierce and not a virgin, and she has all these aspects to her. In certain ways, she's much faster than the other girls. Like they're just, again, you just haven't seen a lot of. I feel like, again, I know movies like The Breakfast Club, they're upending these stereotypes and showing us more, but are they really showing us that much more than the stereotype?
Right.
You know, and these characters really were just so many things. Certainly Ty and Cher. And I thought that, again, as much as it's a testament to Alicia, it's a testament to Brittany.
Yeah.
You know?
Because the characters are super layered, because when Cher and Dion do kind of realize that she's actually talking about weed, and not iced tea, they kind of... Cher lectures her about, being stoned all the time, but at the same time, they're just like, well, it is one thing to... spark up at parties. So they're like, yeah, we get it. Like,
it's interesting because it doesn't shame its teenage viewer in doing drugs.
Absolutely.
It just says like, well,
it also says don't do too much.
You can also toke up at parties, but don't be fried all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that message.
Yeah.
I also love too that she's like, Ty, how old are you? She's like, I'll be 16 in May. Well, my birthday's in April. That is like such a teenager thing to be like, I'm older than you by 17 days. So as the elder of this group, you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a, like, anybody who asks like how old someone is, the minute age gets involved, you're like, all right, you're way too young for this conversation. If you're going to ask about age, then
that's true. But at that age, a month is like a year.
My God,
I'm so much older than my friends. I'm getting my license 2 months before my friend.
Oh my God. Yeah. From someone whose birthday is in November, I know the drama, because to me, I was the youngest of everybody. Mm-hmm. I knew people who were a full year older than me, you know, that were in my grade. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's just a huge part of like youth and childhood, and like, how old are you?
Yeah. That's fine. And I would say the way Friends kind of casual sex for me, I had never seen casual sex like I did on Friends. This movie did that for drugs for me. I had never kind of seen casual drug use in a way that wasn't like, I'm smoking a doobie and I'm ruining my brain. And this is my brain.
They're going to microwave the baby.
And it's not like a whole like subplot.
Neither here nor there.
Like a whole subplot of the movie doesn't involve them getting stoned at a party.
Yeah. Because they go to the party and
just
there is
in
a
the
joint.
scene.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The joint's passed around and it happens and whatever.
I wonder if that was talked about at the studio.
They show these kids.
Maybe this is something that we shouldn't show, because now
these kids who have stated in the movie that they are 15 years old pass a joint around in a scene.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I know sometimes movies cut away from the actual drug use or whatever, but I don't know. It's.
I feel like that's when it comes in handy when Scott Rudin is your producer of the movie.
Sure.
And he pretty much calls the shots at Paramount.
Have you ever heard anything about Scott Rudin?
So I know that Scott Rudin's kind of like he's sort of like the opposite end of a Harvey Weinstein. Sort of, if you're to put them on like two sides of the coin, not as awful as Harvey Weinstein.
Well, he's
but
gay too. So he's not. But what he doesn't lacks in the Me Too, he makes up for in just like he is
screaming at
the devil,
assistants.
where it's like you have to be willing to have a phone thrown at you, and accept that. I mean, it's like literally written in the entertainment career that you can always get a job at Readin Productions in New York
because there's always a spot open, and it's who. Well, also Kevin Spacey's movie Swimming with Sharks is allegedly based on.
Get out of here! Really?
Is allegedly based on Scott Rudin. Yeah.
But they say if you made a year for him, I think like Amy Pascal worked for. I mean, there was Hollywood Reporter did like a list of the people that have worked for him.
Yeah,
and from Amy Pascal to other huge names, and they were
came from casting.
He
was like a huge power bitch caster in New York.
I mean, he's a prolific guy, and he's responsible for things that have changed our lives.
That homosexual is directly responsible for The Hours.
Yes.
Yep.
We need to have another discussion about The Hours, because I have to tell you.
You can come back on for The Hours.
I rewatched it with my boyfriend, with Ted, and I have to say, it reeks of that aughts Miramaxy Oscar Beatty.
Oscar bait, yeah.
Like it's almost not unwatchable. I hate to say that, but it's just so overwrought.
It's a movie of 2002.
But yet Shakespeare in Love is so Miramaxy Oscar Beatty, but it holds up better. I found. I'm telling you,
The Hours is 2002.
Yeah.
Holy.
I need to.
And Julianne was the best in that.
I need to give The Hours a revisit. I want to do it on the show because there is some faggotry going on.
I just need to see that Julianne's like that old lady makeup. I need to see that old lady drag on Julianne one more time because I don't remember it well enough. There is some major faggotry going on in that movie.
But yeah, so I think that Scott Rudin definitely went to bat for this movie. That it had to be this particular version, and there was no compromising for it.
Sure.
That's when it comes in handy to have him producing your movie.
Absolutely. And for some reason, when Amy Heckerling, it's been a while since I've seen an interview with her. I've seen her, but I still picture a kind of smoky-eyed Chrissy Hind who's just like going to blow smoke in the studio exec's face and say, "Fuck you, I'm doing it." You know?
And I think that Scott Rudin, unlike Harvey Weinstein, has a pretty good reputation, at least with like the Coen brothers.
Oh, with artists, he's apparently
with artists that he's just like,
just don't work for him.
Do your thing. Do your thing. I'll cover your ass for the studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And on theater too, and he throws his money and puts his money where his mouth is with theater as well. You know,
interesting. I didn't know all this about one Mr. Scott Rudin.
Yes.
And I guess that there's stories of when they were making The Hours that both him and Harvey Weinstein fucking hated each other.
Yes.
And there was like sort of a sabotage
the nose. Harvey hated the nose. Yeah.
And Harvey didn't like the Philip Glass score. And I feel like Scott Rudin had to sort
Philip
of
Glass score
put
is
a
a little
foot
much.
down.
It's a little much.
It's too much. I'm telling you, it's just like Oscar.
It's a little bit like this movie's important.
Yes.
And you idiots are going to know because of this.
If you don't believe it, we're giving Nicole another staring into space close-up to let you know.
I feel bad that we're going in so hard on Nicole Kidman in The Hours.
I love me some Nicole, but not in The Hours. I'm sorry. I just don't, and I love
Did she learn how to roll her own cigarettes for that thing?
Yeah. She learned how to like dry her own flowers. I mean, come on.
Pressing them between books.
Yeah. I just can't. Even Meryl's a little over the top in it, too. You know?
Toni Collette's really good in The Hours.
Toni Collette's good in everything.
Yes,
even when Toni Collette's over the top. I know we're digressing, but did you guys watch the Nightcrawler guys follow up about the art world that was on Netflix with Toni Collette? It's Jake Gyllenhaal.
No.
Oh my gosh!
Sure.
Velvet Buzzsaw.
Oh, yeah.
Do yourself a favor and watch
it.
It's just, I mean, it's batshit crazy too, and it's not great, but the performances are all so fun. And
Jake Gyllenhaal now has played gay twice. In my brain, that just makes him gay.
Means he's really gay.
I mean it. I would love, you know.
Oh my god. Do you remember when there was like a big like campaign in like the gay community? Like we were claiming that motherfucker for a long time.
There's some who say that, you know.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
Exactly. You can speculate about any.
I don't buy it.
I would say this. I do get the feeling as he gets older, I'm praying he's not heading towards Joaquin and Sean Penn territory.
Yeah.
And kind of can pull back a little. But,
yeah.
You know.
I mean, they got to get him that Oscar somehow.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, though, I mean, he's good.
I think he's a great actor. I like Maggie better. Maggie's one of those I just love watching her act. I really
Are you
do.
excited for her to play Elvis's mom?
You know,
hell,
she'll do a better job than Bryce Dallas as Elton's mom. Who cast her in that movie?
That was so weird.
Why was she in that movie?
I really loved Rocket Man, but she did sort of stick out like a sore thumb in that movie, though.
And she doesn't need the money. She's not bankable. No. It just makes me feel like Ron Howard called up the set and was like, she's now in the Star Wars family as a director because she shadowed on
Mandalorian.
She directed Star Wars won't let you unless you can actually get a shadow on a film. So she got to do it with her dad on The Solo.
Yeah.
And now she's directing episodes of The Mandalorian.
Must be nice.
Must be nice.
That's crazy.
Right? Gemma Arterton could have played that mom. And better. She needs the role.
She would have been really good in that movie.
Great.
She would have been really good in that.
Great. I would have even loved Samantha Morton. Wouldn't she be fun?
Samantha Morton would have fit the age of the character a little more appropriately, too.
Thank you.
Anyway. I mean, Bryce Dallas Howard's no spring chicken.
I think she's my
age.
She went to NYU, but graduated before me.
Yeah,
and our friend Amber and guest on Chasing Amy went to college with her.
Oh wow!
And Amber's mom.
Yeah, I had a college roommate who was in studio with her, and she was devoted to the craft. But then she met M. Night Shyamalan and started that. She left.
Must be nice. She is the best part of the Village, though.
Yeah, I mean, is that saying a lot?
Yeah.
This has been Bryce Chat.
Yeah. Now we're getting
our new segment.
We know you're listening, Bryce.
I'll give her this. I love her red hair.
Bryce Bits on Movies That Made Us Gay.
And I like that she's not a size 0.
Yes.
She has a very womanly figure, which I love.
I love her. Yeah, I do. So anyway.
You're welcome on the show anytime, Bryce.
Yes.
Bryce,
we're ending it with something nice about you.
That was Bryce Bits.
I forgot how we even got to that. Oh, Maggie playing Elvis's mom.
Yes.
I'm telling you, The Deuce on HBO. That's probably one of my favorite series. And I'm not one of those, you have to watch The Wire or you have to watch this, but she's great.
I like Maggie. She's a handsome woman.
Yeah.
Totally. She's in my cadre.
It is kind of interesting that her one Oscar nomination is for Crazy Heart. I find that kind of bizarre.
I know. And not Secretary or Sherry Baby, which are both great movies, But what I love about Maggie, going back to to tie it back to Ty and Clueless, is that Maggie's not trying to be a bombshell leading lady. And I feel that in certain ways was what destroyed Brittany.
It was the downfall of Brittany Murphy's career, is that her people and her people that repped her wanted her to go out as the leading lady, but she was always the best as the character actor bit parts.
And not to say that she couldn't anchor a film the way Maggie can anchor a film, but not in the way of Julia Roberts, Reese Witherspoon, those kind of movies.
Yeah.
And I just find the same as we talked about a little bit before with Christina Ricci. It's the same thing. Not everyone is meant to be this kind of America's sweetheart.
Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to be the Rhoda.
Yes.
To someone's Mary Tyler Moore,
and to kill it.
Yeah. And when you do it and you do it right, people love it. People really love it almost even more than the lead. And I think Brittany had the beginnings of not even the beginning. She had a really good voiceover career.
Yes, absolutely.
And these voiceover roles were a lot of times were supporting, but they were so good and so fleshed out, and she just had such character to her voice, and she was just able to do some really funny characterizations, and she just had this amazing laugh, and she just was very endearing. I do want to play one other clip with Brittany that was just a favorite scene of mine with her and Cher.
Squeeze your buttocks when you come up.
Squeeze it. Cher, I don't want to do this anymore. And my buttons, they don't feel nothing like steel.
Okay, it will get easier, I promise. Just as long as we do it every day, not just sporadically.
How do you know if you're doing it sporadically?
That's another thing, Ty. We've got to work on your accent and vocabulary. See, sporadic means once in a while. Try and use it in a sentence today.
All right.
Okay, from now on, we're alternating Cindy Crawford's Aerobicize and Buns of Steel and reading one non-school book a week. My first book is Fit or Fat.
Mine is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Good. That takes care of our minds and bodies, but we should do something good for mankind or the planet for a couple of hours.
The way she says men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
When I worked at a bookstore,
so
I would
funny.
I would do that line delivery a lot when I was in the self-improvement section.
She's reaching into her jersey. All you have to do to speak Jersey is just enunciate every syllable.
But yeah, it was very Luann, just her King of the Hill, like that laugh that she had. Mm-hmm. I remember my mom texted me when Brittany Murphy passed away, and I was driving home, and I got a text from my mom, and she's like, "Brittany Murphy died," and I was like, "Oh,
I know.
Oh, what?" I didn't pull over, but I was still distraught. Mm-hmm. And now people are saying that this girl on Riverdale looks like her. I don't see it.
Who's that?
Betty. People are saying that the girl who's Betty
the
on
one
Riverdale,
that was Hustlers, the one was in Hustlers.
Yes.
No.
Can you buy this? Like these kids today, they don't know what they're talking
She doesn't
about.
have the kind of character in her face that. I mean, she's pretty.
She's pretty.
But
yeah,
she's
but
like not interesting.
She's just blonde girl.
Yeah, she's
to
just
me.
blonde pretty.
But I've seen like BuzzFeed lists of like celebrities that look like other celebrities,
Really?
and I've seen it like 3 times.
No.
Like in the past year.
I don't
and
get
I'm
it.
I don't see that at all.
Man, Brittany Murphy in Girl Interrupted. I know that's sort of Angelina Jolie's like Oscar-winning role, but
great.
Brittany Murphy's scenes of that movie knock it out of the goddamn park.
Totally.
She's so good.
She's great. She steals her scenes in Freeway too, which is one of my favorite '90s guilty pleasures. She's great in that. She's great in Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh my god, she's so funny.
She's got so many just great supporting roles.
Yeah,
you know.
She has my favorite scene of Sin City, and I'm not a big fan of Sin City, but her scene is really, really good.
It's great.
I think that's the Quentin Tarantino directed scene too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a little image of Lily Reinhart.
Can I say too that that's not my Britney? Though?
I know.
When I look at that Britney, that's
hashtag not our Britney.
Not my Britney.
It's not my Britney. Yeah, it's just not.
And that's why it doesn't. That's why it doesn't ring true for me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
We'll put that on the Instagram. Well, you guys can see the Lily Reinhart / Brittany Murphy debate.
I'm not buying
and
it.
Weigh in. We'll do a poll.
Like I didn't mind it. I'm not a hater. I actually like 8 Mile, and I thought it was fine for 8 Mile. You know, but then it's like when it stayed that way afterwards, it was just.
What was that? Just Married, the Ashton Kutcher.
I blocked that whole.
It's not great.
Was she an item with Ashton Kutcher?
Yes,
they were engaged. So weird. They were engaged. Oh my god!
One of the saddest.
The whole
things,
thing.
Watch her SNL monologue. She literally looks like she had just snorted a rail before she did her monologue. And her arms are so skinny and
thin. Yeah.
It's just sad, you know. Just as her career was kind of hitting that, what you could tell she wanted, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, there's always Clueless.
I mean, she's so good in this. She's good in a lot of
Tide
things.
lives on.
So yeah, I mean, Brittany Murphy is amazing, and we did an episode of Drop Dead Gorgeous. She's so funny in that. She's so funny in this. King of the Hill. They're like over 200 episodes of King of the Hill, and she's amazing in it. She's so funny. You wouldn't even know it was her if you didn't know. Yeah. Go find. I think King of the Hill's on Hulu. You can probably go listen to that too if you want to.
Remember her? Well, also her song with Paul Oakenfold. Faster, kill
yes,
faster.
I do.
That I'll take Blonde Brittany for that.
Yes.
That was a fun one.
Remember her? She sang. She was a singer, and she even with her little Rolling with the Homies in this, you could hear that she was just like, oh, by the way, I sing too. So if you got anything for me in this, I'll do it.
She sang in Happy Feet too. She's like one of the main voices in Happy Feet. I think that's one of the last things she did, or she was fired off the sequel. I think.
Oh Jesus!
Probably one of the last big studio movies that she did.
She did. Yeah.
And you can also YouTube her Pussycat Dolls performance.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yeah.
That's still there.
Do we want to say some brief? We can keep them brief because she's not a very pleasant person to talk to. But I mean, we have to talk about the career of Stacey Dash. So you were kind of commenting on Stacey Dash.
She's great in this.
She's great in this movie.
I think she's great in this movie. I would venture to say that there are parts where she falls into the bitchy popular girl stereotype and doesn't really break that. But I also find that funny in some of the, like, you know, would you call me, what did she say? Would you call me or
you call me shallow?
Shallow, not to your face.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that she's just one of those, like, just so gorgeous and the
stunningly beautiful. Those eyes,
loves her.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be honest. Between this and the Kanye "It All Falls Apart" video, I can't really like recall too many big things.
I mean, is it
the TV show?
Is it one of those things that, like, this role is so catered to their actors? I mean, a little bit of Alicia Silverstone falls into this, that they're not particularly that strong, but this role was just so laser focused and tailored to them that after this movie they just can't really find anything that suits them.
Yeah.
So they just sort of don't really
I think a lot
go
of
anywhere with their career.
I mean, think of the American Pie cast, you know. Think of the Heathers cast, other than, you know, Winona and Christian.
Yeah.
But even Christian, would you argue? I mean,
right, yeah.
Well, Mr. Robot, come on. But, like, honestly, I feel like he's never eclipsed his Teen Idol day. You know?
Like, for sure.
And, like, Stacey Dash's big thing that she's most known for now is that whenever, like, Fox News needs a black Republican, she's the first on their speed dial. Mm-hmm. And I almost feel like she doesn't quite personally believe a lot of stuff that she says, but she just more does it as a gimmick to get her on TV.
Totally. I mean, I think right now, if you guys started a podcast and said that are like gay guys who hate gays, or you know what I mean? Like, it's just there's such a call for it's like Milo, you know, Yiannopoulos.
Oh, right. Yeah,
everyone wants that kind of, you know, if you're going to be the one person that's going to shit on your own, you can have a forum for it. And I agree with you with that. I think there's a bit of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Know? And she did Single Ladies on VH1, but Lisa Ray McCoy and her almost got in a fist fight, and then she had to leave. She left the show.
I bet that was an interesting day on set. I would have loved to be
This is according to Lisa Ray McCoy and Wendy on Wendy, so it's not Wendy. Like I'm reading gossip. No.
I can see you. Do you still watch Wendy?
You know,
she's been having a real tough go around lately.
I mean, for 10 years it was like every day, but for the past, ever since her kind of break, you know what it is for me? I don't like rolling with the homies, Wendy. I don't want to hear about your friendship with reality TV stars. I don't care that you have Nene on speed dial. I want Wendy in Jersey who's a couch potato like me. I don't like this new out on the town Wendy. I'm happy for her. I know that she's been through a lot, but the stories she talks about are like name dropping celebrities.
Yeah.
She used to kind of just make fun of them. And that's what I like. I don't want an Ellen. I don't watch Ellen for that reason. I don't need a, like, you know, let's basically just promote and do fluff pieces.
Right.
And buy another house for Portia.
Oh, Ellen. Ellen had the subway singer.
The new star, The Shallow.
Yeah.
I just love her because her name is like Charlotte Tilbury.
I love
She's
it.
just the most British thing I've ever seen.
Oh my god!
Are you sure that's not staged?
Everybody's saying it's staged now. I
think it's staged.
She got a blowout for it on the sub. Like, even like,
she looks a little too put together.
It's like a Prel commercial as she's walking.
No, she is just on the train. She's on the tube. She's minding the gap. She's trying to go to her friend's house.
Totally.
That's it. I buy it.
I'm all for it.
Speaking of which, listeners, as we speak, Stupid Love dropped like 45 minutes ago.
Oh, wow.
So, bitch, we're going to wrap this shit up so we can like watch that video for the first fucking time. And like live our gay ass lives to Stupid Love. This is going to be old news by the time this airs, but shit.
Too funny. It's between that and the drop of Drag Race, it's like a gay holiday.
God.
I requested weekend, tomorrow off for it.
Yeah, that's too funny.
Yeah, this is a holiday weekend for sure. Do we have anything left to cover in this freaking movie? My God, we got a lot.
This was a good episode because we felt so familiar with it that we don't really need to recap the movie.
No, there's
sort
no
of
need to go beat for
I mean,
beat.
this movie's dialogue is just like on the back of my brain.
Absolutely.
That I can just put this on and go to sleep, and I can just picture what's going on screen as they're saying the dialogue.
I think the three of us were just mouthing the entire movie as it was playing while we were watching it.
And it's unfortunate that today's teens, they don't really make movies like this anymore. It's just sort of stuff like this doesn't exist in a movie. I know that there's kind of cute Netflix teen targeted movies, but there's not big studio budget comedies like this for teenagers anymore.
And everything's got to be genre for these kids now.
Yeah. Yes.
Like even with like Riverdale, you can't just watch just like someone's got to be murdered. It's got to be hunting for some. It's like I loved when we had Buffy and 90210 and options. I don't want genre.
Everything's in one thing.
I just like I don't need genre to I can listen to like people talking to each other in normal life. Like why does everything have to be genre?
And it's one of those things that there was news of the remake coming out a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And what I was saying was just like, well, you know what, Paramount? Why don't you just find the new Clueless?
I know. It's crazy.
And maybe that's your big story of how you market this movie is that we wanted to make a teen movie like we did 25 years ago.
It's a different vein, but I will give an honorable mention because I loved Cock Blockers, and I wish that had gotten a little bit more because that was a big budget studio movie about teenage girls that ended up being everything you didn't think it was going to be, and from gay characters, from like all different types, and I don't know, I really enjoyed that. Not in the way that this movie is, but I agree, Scott. Like, make the new Clueless. Don't make Clueless. Don't remake it. Kids are having high school experiences. I mean, look at Euphoria. They're jeweling and
for sure,
and causing a ruckus. There's got to be a movie that can be.
Well, yeah, so much of it is on streaming platforms now, and like Euphoria, Sex Education, is really good on Netflix.
Agreed.
So maybe that's just kind of where it's leading.
A movie did just come to mind that it doesn't quite hit the Clueless status, but it tries. I would say Booksmart.
Sure.
Makes an attempt to make a movie for teenagers and kind of make it fresh and new.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like Booksmart.
I agree.
That's immediately what I thought when you guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Talking about this.
I liked Booksmart. Booksmart felt a little indier than than like this was big budget studio, colorful. But I agree. I did enjoy Booksmart. I did.
But it's like it's going to take something to really impact culture the way this did. This really just
one would argue that it can't even anymore because there's too many filters. There's too many, back then it was MTV in the theater. And this movie had the time to stick around where we were still talking about it when we went to school in September. Now, between the political climate or the world and the amount of just sheer content, it's forgotten in a week,
Yeah, for sure. Or with shows that the entire season is available in one day. It's like you forget about it.
Yep.
When series lasted 10, 12, 22 weeks. That's like a long season, To get through a season of 90210 was an entire school year.
Yeah.
An entire school year.
And if you miss an episode, you better hope that they repeated it so you could tape it.
You were pissed. Or you'd wait till the summer, which was, remember that? You'd have to wait till the summer till they'd repeat the one time.
So it's like now I get it. It's like, well, we only got 10 episodes of Sabrina, and maybe we have to wait 6 months until the next 10. But it's like those first 10, for that week, everybody's talking about it, and then
that's why I like to.
Gone.
That's why I like to savor some of the streaming platform shows.
I feel like I don't like binging.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I've felt, and I don't know what the teen experience is like for kids now, other than having been a teen, and I think a lot of things are the same, but. To me, Euphoria is the only thing that's rang true.
I still need to watch
Where
Euphoria.
I felt like, wow, I'm watching something that like is new and unique, and actually it's making me feel like this is what kids are like now.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel again the genre of Sabrina. It's fun.
Yeah.
Same with Riverdale, but would you call any of it? Maybe Booksmart, I would say that's probably close to what.
And even with something like Sex Education, it's very much filtered through this 80s lens. Mm-hmm. So it's not as true as something like Euphoria, which is like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready for We'll like what? We're all ready for the teen movie that's right now.
Yeah.
You know?
I do love Zendaya, though.
I do, too.
I
can't believe how good... the whole cast on that show is incredible.
I need to watch it.
You have to watch it, Scott.
I really like Zendaya because she's really grown on me. I remember when she was first announced as Mary Jane and me just being like, who's this Disney girl that they got for this Marvel movie?
Yeah.
We'll see what she has to prove. And it turns out...
She's great.
She's great.
And the role she plays, I mean, on Euphoria could not be more different from, anything I've ever seen her do.
Yeah.
And it's, it's well done, but a long way from Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
Anyway.
And Clueless. I mean, shit. But there hasn't really been anything in all these years that's kind of been in the same vein or that we've kind of felt the same way about. But I mean, there doesn't have to be. This movie kind of stands on its own.
Yeah.
Which is great. And so I think that's why we love it so much.
Exactly.
Watch it and then rewind it and watch it again.
It is the type of movie that little gay children of the 90s would rewatch a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And just want to be friends with all of these characters.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's a perfect teen movie. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun.
Yes, it was so much fun. This was great.
We'll have to have you back on.
I look forward to it.
Yes, indeed. Are you on social media? Do you want to plug your social media? You don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm taking a little break.
Taking a break from social media? That's cool. That's good. Everybody needs to purge every now and then. Get it out of your system. But we're not. We're on social media. We are on Instagram and Facebook at Movies That Made Us Gay. And we're also on Twitter at MTMUGPod. We would love for you to rate and review our show on iTunes.
Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. Press all 5 of them when you're on iTunes. Follow us. Please subscribe and also rate and review our show.
We're going to be doing something cool, I think, coming up where we're going to have options on our Instagram stories to vote on the movie that we should do.
Yeah, we'll do some polls for our upcoming movies, and you can choose. You can play a part in what we review next time. But thanks for listening, everybody. This was a lot of fun. See you soon.
We're taking Brad out of the top model photo now.
Bye, everybody. Bye.